Now I can't hear you.
No, I can't hear you.
I can hear you guys.
Okay,
I can hear you now.
Yeah.
Okay, there we go. Okay,
we're
we're
so
back.
back. We've never been so back.
Okay, we're back. Okay. Anyway.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to A Pot of the Seven Kingdoms, a journey through the Dunk and Egg novellas. I'm Baki Balboa.
I'm Belak, and we have another friend.
Another friend of the pod. We're joined today by Hollybean. Holly, welcome.
Hello, happy to be here.
We're so excited to have you. I know it was like a very random outreach or whatever. We were talking to guests, and I know Belak was like, hey, who wants to be on? And I was like, I know someone who just read Dunk and Egg.
It's true. I'm the fakest A Song of Ice and Fire fan ever. I read it for the first time this summer.
You don't have to feel bad because I'm even faker because I've only read the first of the novellas. Yeah,
Whoa,
so I haven't read the second two.
Yeah, that's why this podcast is great.
Wow, so you're like, oh, that's so cool.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I thought I had read them all because I read the first one and I thought that was it. And then I discovered when we started this podcast, that was not it. And I was wrong.
You get so excited.
Yeah, it's really cool.
I'm extremely jealous that she gets to experience books 2 and 3 for the first time as we read it. But we so we finished the Hedge Knight in terms of our reread, and we're working through. We'll be starting the Sworn Sword soon. But Holly, I mean, in terms of your connection to A Song of Ice and Fire, aside from being the fakest fan, like aside from that, how did you discover the series? Like, obviously, we've talked about sort of how me and Belak got into it, but how did you discover the series? And then what prompted you to start actually talking about it online? Because obviously now you have, a bit of a following. Like, without getting too weird about it.
We actually just hit 13K. I don't know why I said we. It's me. I hit 13K today. It's very exciting.
Us and the team.
Yeah. So I've actually never told anyone this. It's really cursed how I got into A Song of Ice and Fire. Do you guys know this show Once Upon a Time?
Yes, absolutely. My wife was obsessed with that show.
Okay, so was I in middle school. And in 8th grade, I was quite active on Once Upon a Time Tumblr. And this one blog I followed was also into A Song of Ice and Fire. And it was the first time I had ever heard about A Song of Ice and Fire. And they were an avid Sansa and Robb shipper.
Wait, Sansa and Robb Stark?
Whoa.
Yes.
In my head, I'm like, wait, we have a few Robbs.
I like the idea. I like the idea of it being a more random Robb. Like, who are the Robbs that we could drag into this?
Baratheon.
And
is he Robin? I forget, in the books, is he Robin Aaron or Robert Aaron? He's Robert in the books, right?
He's Robert, but he's like Sweet Robin. It doesn't really make sense.
Yeah.
And I just remember being like so confused. And then being like, no, it's like totally fine that they're siblings. That's like a thing in the show. And I'm like 14 and I'm like, I guess so. And I was really curious about what this was because I just heard him being like, everyone hates Sansa and like they shouldn't hate Sansa. And I was like, yeah, you shouldn't hate Sansa. And so I come from an autistic father. So I am a wiki warrior. So I then Wikipedia'd all of the series and I read the Wikipedia for the entire series. Because I didn't have HBO and my parents are like pretty strict. Like I had a child lock until I was like 17 on my media. And so I just Wikipedia'd and I read the entire series that way. And then my going into like my senior year, this guy was flirting with me and told me that I reminded him of Daenerys. And then he gave me all his box sets. And I was like going blonde at the time. I had white blonde hair for like 3 years after I watched Game of Thrones. And I watched the entire box set, seasons 1 through 5 in like a summer. And I just was obsessed and it gripped me.
Mm-hmm.
And I started making content. So I had been on TikTok just kind of making random things for a while. And I had been talking to my girlfriend who the past summer I got her to read the books, and because she had only ever seen the show. And so we're like talking about it all the time because we're both obsessed. And I was like, oh my God, it's going to be so funny. John Con is going to have like a crash out because he's going to think that Rhaegar named John after him. And we laughed about that. And I was like, oh, that's so funny. Haha. I'll make a TikTok about that. Like maybe like 50 people will enjoy it. And I make a TikTok about it. And then I go and take a nap and I wake up and it's at like 4K views after like an hour. And I was like, and if you're like a TikToker, you know, if that happens, you're like, oh, okay. And like it just kept growing. And I was like, what is happening? And then everyone in the comments was theorizing on what John's name is, but I thought they were all wrong. And I was like, well, I'm right. And so then I made a follow-up video and I was like, no one is going to see this. I talk about my theory about how I think John's name is Aemon and I talk about why. And I thought like, no one's going to watch this. Like it's going to be like, I'll have had one TikTok and then nothing else. People liked it. And I was like, oh my God, I'm no longer like the annoying girl in high school that just wants to talk about Game of Thrones and is playing Crusader Kings 2 like on the weekends for fun. Like people like what I have to say. And yeah, I've been doing it ever since the spring. It's been fun. I've loved being back. I loved being here. Everyone's really nice and lovely.
Mm-hmm. That's awesome.
I do think there is something to the A Song of Ice and Fire TikTok, like being an accident. Like,
yes,
because I started my TikTok to talk about D&D, and then made a House of the Dragon like TikTok, and it exploded, and then was like, oh, people actually still care about this book series. Maybe I should talk about it.
There's so much to talk about. I mean, and like there's the bad show Game of Thrones, and then there's the good neutral show House of the Dragon, and then there's the excellent books. So that there's so much content to be analyzed, and yet there's so much bad analysis.
Yeah,
some of which we'll talk about today. But yeah, it's a really fascinating community. I started back on Tumblr with when Game of Thrones was airing. That's when I started. Beautiful. Back in the day. Remember Tumblr?
Those are the real ones.
Yeah. I had the laptop, like TV, laptop, like tags, like what is everyone thinking?
Yeah. I loved it. I got my first real grip into it was on Tumblr. Two of my friends who I used to podcast with on Unabashed Book Snobbery, Kylie and Julia, they had The Cultural Vacuum and Game of Thrones Gifts and Musings with their Tumblrs. And Julia wrote an essay on when season 5 aired about how Dorne of the show was like an Orientalism story. And it was like a fascinating analysis. And I was like, whoa, tell me more. Like, I know this is bad for some reason, but I can't put my finger on it. And then Julia wrote these like beautiful essays. And I'm like, that's it. I understand now.
It is really
was a gift that I don't think anybody understood what we had until it was gone.
Yeah. Some of us are in the trenches on Twitter. Every day I rage bait myself by opening it up. I don't know if you've been on A Song of Ice and Fire Twitter. It is an abuse. I can't stop being on it. And every day I'm like, the depths of humanity are here with me.
This is
don't go on.
Elon,
save yourself.
Elon curating A Song of Ice and Fire TikTok somehow feels, or Twitter.
Who is Elon Musk's favorite A Song of Ice and Fire character?
Robert Baratheon.
Robert Baratheon. Okay, yeah. But from the show, he's never read the books.
Oh, it's Bronn.
It's Bronn. It's got to be Bronn.
Bronn is Master of Coin. Yeah.
Yes.
Lord of Highgarden.
Lord of Highgarden.
Lord of Highgarden, Master of Coin.
Yeah.
Yeah, just just normal stuff.
Yeah, well, Elon thought the finger in the bum line was great.
Oh God!
Remember the bad show?
I do too well.
Anyway,
a lot of psychic damage.
Actually, it's good. So, at least that's what I've been told.
Yeah, my comments say so. Yeah.
So, Holly, there's obviously like a ton to talk about when it comes to Dunk and Egg, the connections to the main series, the connections to just the broad lore of the world. Like there's so many things that we could talk about. And like when we were discussing what do we actually want to talk about? One of the things that we landed on was Targaryens and Baratheons. And we get introed to personally my favorite Baratheon in The Hedge Knight, and that is Lionel Baratheon, who feels like the Laughing Storm. Literally, George said, hey, all of my other Baratheons have like dark consequences connected to their fun, like the fun side of their personality. What if I made someone who was literally just fun? And there were no consequences. So he makes Lionel Baratheon. But the Baratheon family, I think, particularly given the fandom's introduction to the Baratheons as the royal family, makes it a little bit skewed compared to maybe how they're perceived in the world. And the history of that family, which really starts with the Targaryens. Literally. So I wanted to let you cook a little bit on the Baratheons, their connection with the Targaryens, and just where they fit into both, you know, this story and sort of the broader story, like we talked about last time with Felly. We were talking about sort of the royal family, the Targaryens, and kind of what that all means. How do the Baratheons like fit into this puzzle?
So the Baratheons are super interesting to me. First off, because they're a bastard family. Like, they come from Orys Baratheon, who is the bastard brother of Aegon the Conqueror, and then we are introduced to them in the main series of really the only male Baratheons left are bastards. And it starts and ends with bastards, really. And, like, they're this house that can either make or break House Targaryen. Like, when they are working together, they're so strong. They're doing so well. We see, like, even right now in the time period we're at, in Dunk and Egg, like, they're doing great together. They're doing really amazing. In the beginning of the Conquest, they're doing good. But when they are beefing, like, at the beginning, the end of Maegor's reign, beginning of Jaehaerys' reign, during the Dance of Dragons, and then the main series timeline is, like, the main Baratheon and Targaryen beef. And there's also, like, a weird common thread. I've picked out at least 3, but there might even be more, that there's a lot of, like, would-be Baratheon queens. Because you'd think that, like, for a house that literally comes from House Targaryen, so in a way they do have as much Valyrian blood as, say, the Celtigars, the Valerians, the Targaryens, they aren't really marriage candidates as much as you would expect them to be. Like, Jocelyn Baratheon is supposed to be queen with Aemon Targaryen, Jaehaerys' son, and then we have what's his name? It is, like, Aemon's wife, and then I think it's Ormond Baratheon during the Dance of the Dragons. That, like, all of his daughters are at some point supposed to marry, like, Aemon, like, whatever the fuck, and, like, they obviously never do. Sorry, the white background thing is not working. Hot tip: if your lights in your office aren't working, just Google white in the background for fun backlighting. And then Lionel Baratheon is supposed to have a daughter who I'm pretty sure is supposed to marry Jaehaerys, Aeg's son. And so there's all these, like, Baratheon would-be Targaryen marriages that, like, don't work out.
And what about Rhaenys too? Jocelyn Baratheon's daughter.
Yeah, exactly.
Is, like, the queen who never was. So, like, that's really interesting that there's because didn't House Baratheon originate with a Storm Queen who was overthrown? Yeah, so there is this, like,
Argilac Durrandon's daughter. Is Orys Baratheon's first wife.
Right.
I should
that's really
probably know her name. That feels pretty misogynist to me, but
I don't know that she has one.
I think they say it.
Shut it down, guys. It's over.
No, we're done. You're done.
I could name Argilac Durrandon, but I can't name his daughter. Fucking cancel
Listen, Holly, I told Phil when we started this podcast.
It's Argella.
Literally the same.
I think George should be canceled.
I'll just log up. Google Chrome, just get me out of here.
I gotta go. No, and it's very interesting. And then like the House Targaryen, even in this time period, they're marrying a ton of Stormland houses, like the Dondarrions, who is oh my god, Baelor's wife, and then we also have I think the Penroses are also a Stormland's house, and that is Aerys the First's wife.
Wow.
Is there
a Penrose is Aerys the First wife?
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Isn't it? Well, because also Elena Targaryen, her second husband is a Penrose. The Penroses are doing kind of good for themselves.
Eleanor Penrose.
And then I know that it's Rhaegal, who I've been calling Rhaegal for a while, is married to like a House Aaron, like all the marriages, and then obviously Maekar is married to House Dane. All the marriages of this time period are really interesting. They're not what you'd expect.
It is interesting to think about the fact that they don't marry into the Baratheons more. Because there's Jocelyn. Yeah.
Well, and if you're the incest house, like the easy button is like, oh, this branch of the family that is born from a bastard brother of the original king, right? So
I wonder why the Baratheons never tried riding any dragons. Wait a minute.
They're like, stay on the ground.
I do think there's something here that, and like what you talked about, especially Lionel Baratheon ends up fighting a duel, I think, with Dunk. Over the broken engagement between Jaehaerys and
unnamed daughter.
Literally, okay, so George is canceled for that.
Yeah, so George is canceled for this one. And the incest. We're getting him.
Yeah. So, we've been out. That's the whole point of this podcast, is to just end George R. R. Martin. Yeah. So I do think there's something there in terms of the amount of sort of unfulfilled promises, maybe, is sort of how I'm thinking about, like, the Baratheons in a way are born of the promise or the connection with like House Targaryen, and then when those things are not, when they're not honored, or that connection is not sort of put in the forefront, it does lead to just like generally bad things for, I guess, both houses, even if the Baratheons do eventually end up benefiting from it and ending up on the throne.
Well,
no, go ahead.
The crazy thing is also that Steffon Baratheon and his wife die trying to find Rhaegar a bride, and there is some, I don't know if it's directly stated or if it's implied, that they were really hoping that Renly would be a girl so that like he could marry Rhaegar, and that they kept having boys, and they're like, fuck, because they like really wanted like to marry into the family, because Steffon's mom is Egg's youngest daughter, Rhaelle.
Right.
I was about to say, that was what I was about to bring up, was Rhaelle Targaryen. I'm looking at a family tree, because I love the Targaryens, but they all have the same name, and I get so confused with my Targaryens. I get them mixed up all the time. So Rhaelle Targaryen marries a Baratheon, and because Phil, you were talking about this like unfulfilled promises thing. If I recall correctly, there was like drama behind why she marries a Baratheon.
Yeah. So it was just what Phil was saying, was that Jaehaerys, who is Daenerys's grandfather, and is Egg's second eldest, because Duncan abdicates the throne to be with Jenny. Jaehaerys is supposed to marry beast mode. Wait, no, it's not Jaehaerys. No, it's not Jaehaerys. Duncan is supposed to marry.
That's what it is.
The unnamed daughter, and then he breaks it.
He marries Jenny of Old Stones.
So Jaehaerys was supposed to marry
original
a Tully.
heir. Ooh, interesting.
Yeah, supposed to be.
It also makes sense. I guess it makes sense for when you're when you're doing the like, how do we stitch these kingdoms together? Going classic marriage for the heir and a connection with one of the 7 kingdoms, like outside of the family.
Aang actually sets up really good marriages for his kids that they all fuck over.
And they're all just like,
and he's like, come on.
Literally, they all mess him up.
He's like, say yes to the dress over here. And you're
I know, he's like, come on.
But so Rael and Targaryen ends up marrying Ormond Baratheon. And then it's their descendant, who is Robert Baratheon, who overthrows the Targaryens.
Yes.
So there's this connection between not only like the interconnection of this family or lack thereof, but when there are these interconnections from these broken promises, they're part of what leads to the downfall of the Targaryen family.
Yeah. So
that's really interesting. I really like that, the way these two families are interacting, and the fact that they are like technically related, like way back. You know.
Yeah.
It is so interesting that the Targaryens wouldn't marry more into the Baratheons. I wonder what that's about.
So I think part of it is that Rhaegar Baratheon, who helps overthrow Maegor, is a total asshole.
Yeah, he is kind of a tool.
He's such a tool. Like, Rhaena hates him, Jaehaerys and Alysanne hate him, and they kind of like bury the hatchet by marrying Aemon to Jocelyn, but then they immediately throw it in the trash by dismissing Rhaenys' claim and skipping them over. And then like they're such a proud house that when Rhaenyra's like is not able to offer anything like to like have them on her side, they're like, well, we have all these daughters, we gotta marry them off.
The fact that Jaehaerys hates a guy who is trying to help overthrow Maegor when Jaehaerys is also trying to overthrow him. Like, even though they're connected by purpose, Rhaegar is enough of an asshole that Jaehaerys is like, yeah, not like that, dude. Like, like I want him gone as much as you do, but
and he's like, dude, I want to do incest so bad. I'm 16 and I want to do it so bad.
Want to fuck my sister. Why are you stopping me from fucking my sister? Yeah,
and you're gonna marry my mom.
Yeah.
You're
not my real dad.
What's wrong with you? I'm gonna do incest with my sister all I want.
That is actually something. There is it's described in Fire and Blood. There is a time when Rhaegar suggests passing over Jaehaerys and Alysanne for the throne because they're trying to do incest together.
For Arya. Whoa.
Yeah, and everyone in the room is like, whoa, don't, no, that's a treason. The Maegor thing, not a treason. But this, a treason. This is the don't say that. So there is, I guess, that kind of that bad blood there as well.
Arya is the heir twice. Actually, she's the heir 3 times. My sweet fucked over daughter.
And everything goes fine for her.
Yeah, she's good.
She definitely never gets full of worms. I don't know what you're talking about.
The worms.
What do they mean? So it's interesting. I kind of wonder too if there's almost like, I mean, some of this I imagine is George kind of stumbling into these. This happens to just be how it played out in the books. But I wonder too if there isn't an explanation there of like the Targaryens wanting to keep another house that potentially has dragon riding capabilities per their propaganda, subjugated, like pretty firmly subjugated, you know?
Yeah. I mean, I think definitely because we see that Jaehaerys is a huge reason, in my opinion, that he doesn't want Rhaenys and therefore Laenor and to be the line of succession is that he's intimidated by Corlys, who is a Valerian, and is from, like, his family is from Valyria too. And I think, like, even the fact that Laenor and Laena have dragons and are dragon riders, but have the name Valerion, like, it probably, like, it's weird. It's probably weird for them.
Yeah, because there's been plenty of Valerians in the family, but they've always been women. So the name gets overshadowed, and it's like, this is a Targaryen, Aegon the Conqueror, and Visenya and Rhaenys Targaryen. Pay no attention to the Valerian mother they have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking too, just in general, the Baratheons, with their, talking about the blood purity thing and just like the strict sort of genetic makeup Punnett square version of this, like the idea that the Baratheons are sort of a subject or a subjugated house, like, is kind of weird. Like they have to sort of paint them into that corner because their claim, they could have a claim almost in the same way like the Blackfires have a claim where they have to keep them as like, nope, that's a bastard line that is not legitimate. They have their own thing in the Stormlands, but like it's not connected to our stuff, and they definitely don't have a claim on the throne in any way. When it's like they have the same lineage as y'all, like by at least 50% or whatever, depending on who Orys's dad is, or mom.
Mom.
Who Orys's mom is, which I don't know. Do we know who Orys's mom is?
No, I think it's implied that Orys is like a dragon seed, so like one of the people that.
Yeah.
It's so weird in the book. They're like, they're so grateful when the Targaryens do first night on them. And I'm like, I'm sure.
Don't you love being impregnated by someone who isn't your chosen sexual partner? That's my favorite thing. Love it.
I'm
like,
I was actually, the first time that me and Belak talked was on an episode of House of Fire and Blood that talked about dragon seeds and the fact that it's insane that was a where it's like, no, the women were showered with gifts, etc., and but I'm thinking now that, like, again, this sort of feeds back into the propaganda and the fact that the concept of bastardy being a control mechanism and like all of these things, it having nothing to do with the actual blood or any of that stuff. It's purely a mechanism to control the rest of the kingdom. Like that, it is just to keep the Baratheons like subject to the Targaryens. There's no other reason to other them in such a significant way. And then throughout history to sort of enforce that is kind of crazy.
And I think it's largely about controlling the dragons. Yes. So I think if you look at like the initial kind of 2 to 3 generations of Targaryens that come to Westeros, like particularly Aegon, Visenya, and Rhaenys, I don't think they really gave a shit about bastardy, partially because they, made besties with their half-brother and like gave him a house. Yeah. So they clearly weren't like they weren't Westerosi. They didn't come with the same Westerosi anti-bastard vibes, right?
I hate bastards in Westeros. Jeez,
they
Louise.
Really do. I know. I'm like, y'all gotta calm down. But initially, the Targaryens were like, we marry our sisters. We don't particularly care about bastards. I have a dragon. Like the Faith of the Seven, whatever. I love the Targaryens' take on the Faith of the Seven, which is just they use the number 7 for everything they can. They're like, we're gonna make a Kingsguard. There's gonna be 7 of them. The people will love it. It's fantastic. But like the hatred of bastards kind of seeps in later on. So I think probably what's happening, at least with those early Targaryens in their relationship with House Baratheon, is a concern about sharing the dragons and controlling the dragons. Yeah. Because they have to push this concept that only House Targaryen in Westeros can ride the dragons. Because if anybody realizes that that's bullshit, they're in fucking trouble.
Yeah.
If any of the dragon keepers later on, when they establish the dragon keepers and like the dragon guard or whatever it is that guards the dragon pit, like if any of those people who regularly care for the dragons and interact with them realize they also can ride them, the Targaryens are just fucked. Yeah. So like I think with House Baratheon, it doesn't take a genius to be like, that's the king's half brother. What if we give him a dragon egg? What would happen?
Yeah, I actually had never even considered the idea of a Baratheon riding a dragon, but like Rhaenys does. And Rhaenys is like is like I guess quarter Baratheon, but still like she has the Baratheon look. That's the thing I hate that they took out of the show is like
I know.
this importance that like House Baratheon has such strong genes that they like blot out like everyone else.
And I actually think part of the reason she quote unquote lost at the rigged election of 101 was in the secret ballot where she definitely lost 20-1, and there's definitely no way that half the kingdom that then later revolted against the man, they definitely didn't support Rhaenys. Don't think about numbers. It was 20-1. She'd super lost. But I think part of the hard sell there for her is that she didn't look like someone who we or Westeros imagines as the ruling family. And we see that in the text with like Daenerys, where it's like she had the classic Targaryen. She was obviously Targaryen. Her blonde hair, her purple eyes. I'm like, Daenerys is like what, 2% Targaryen or something at this point?
She has
like
such small percentage of Valyrian blood in her.
The Conquerors were originally 100% Targaryen, which is bullshit. Then, yeah, by the time we get to Daenerys, but it's like her beautiful blonde hair, her beautiful purple eyes, clearly a Targaryen princess. And it's like, is it so easy to trick people? Like, look, it's color-coded for your convenience. Like, magic. She's blonde. It must be magic.
That is what I love about the books. Is they're so colorful. And it is everyone, like, the genes and all the houses are so strong that it's like they all have the same hair color and they all look this way. And it's like, you know, the Tullys have this look versus the Starks have this look versus the Greyjoys and the Baratheons and the Lannisters. And it paints such a vibrant picture in my head. And that's why I kind of love Dunk on this background, because he's so plain.
Yeah. He's just a big boy. He's so large.
And
he's just plain and adorable.
And like Egg, as you know, Daenerys's ancestor,
great-grandfather.
Or whatever, great-grandfather. His mom is a Dane who has purple eyes. So it's not just like, oh, she has a Targaryen look, like she has purple eyes. It's like, and her great-great-grandma is a Dane.
Yeah.
So like
Daenerys is so
they
magical.
also have purple eyes.
Yeah.
Daenerys comes from like Dornish, Danish, Blackwood, Targaryen. Like she's so magical.
Yeah.
Just take your pick of like which aspect of her magic side. And I think this is where too, like obviously the arguments get muddied because everyone focuses on Daenerys being Targaryen or so and so, you know, take your pick of the Targaryens throughout, when there obviously is tons of intermarriage, tons of like, they don't do a good job of keeping the bloodlines pure, even with the incest, like as crazy as that may sound. And even their marriages, like during the time of Dunk and Egg, so you know, a couple of generations before the main series, the marriages are like kind of all over the place.
Yeah. One of the marriages I find so interesting is the fact that Valar is married to a Tyroshi woman who then is remarried to Daeron, Egg's brother. But I found that interesting. It's like, why are they marrying out into Essos? Especially because only a few generations ago, they essentially ran the Rogars out.
I think, and I think Phil and I talked about this briefly on a previous episode, like they just had too many boys.
Yes.
Like it got to a point where there were just too many boys. They were just like, what do we do?
They were sending them to the wall. They were sending them to the Citadel.
Well, Jaehaerys and Alysanne had the same issue. They had too many kids, and like that last like 6-ish children were kind of useless. And Jaehaerys didn't know what to do with them. He was like, this one doesn't want to fuck his sister. I don't understand.
I don't get it.
Do I just
can't relate.
He's like, this one doesn't want to marry this old decrepit man. What am I supposed to do with her? What a brat.
This other one wants to have sex? What?
I love you, Sarah Targaryen.
And Jaehaerys lived too long.
Yeah.
What the hell's wrong with him? 55 years or whatever as king. Like,
yeah.
Step aside.
He's building those roads.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he was definitely building those roads.
Yeah.
And Alicent had nothing to do with any of that planning.
It's good that he stepped down after the first debate. It was clear then that he was too old to continue.
He's back running.
Oh man. Look at that political crossover live on the spot.
More years. No, but the lack of Targaryen women is interesting because, like, as this family heads into, you know, what we know to be sort of the waning moon of their, you know, reign, I guess. They have too many guys, and they don't have what is, you know, even in this crazy misogynistic hyper patriarchal society, you still do need, for political purposes, you need girl children to marry off and secure political alliances, and they just end up with like a deficiency here.
Yeah. Also, the marriages for the girls in this generation are pretty weird because Rhaegal has twins that he marries together, a Lore and a Laura. Very clever. And then they have Daenora, I think it is, who is married to Arion, whatever his name is. And then, which is, can I just say, just really quick, Arion had two sisters. Like, why did he do that to Dung? Like, not to Dung, to Egg. Why did he do that to Egg? When he's like, I have too many. I don't have enough. You have two. Like, you have a cousin. Like, he did it for the love of the game.
Yeah. He said, I'm evil. Did you know?
Yeah, he's an abuser, like, just cause.
Yeah.
He was like a Carl fucking Tanner in the Bad Show drinking out of the skull of Jorah Mormont. Like, did you know I'm evil?
And they also, he gave himself his own last name. I wish George would do more with that, like the bright flame line.
I've seen some things where, like, when George wrote The Hedge Knight, his idea was that the Bright Flames were going to be the cadet branch that rebelled against the Targaryens. And then right around the time that he wrote Clash, he came up with the idea of the Blackfires and was like, this is cooler, I'm doing this.
This is so much better.
Yeah.
And he just basically, like, left Aerion Brightflame into, like, he gets exiled and maybe has a kid and, like, maybe...
Maegor.
And like maybe that names his kid Maegor, which is insane.
Rings Wildfire is out.
Yeah, but it's it's one of those things that his his gardening style led to, I came up with something cooler, so I'm just doing that.
Yeah.
Yeah. I tend to think that too, because in the first of the novellas, like he seems really set up for like a longer arc.
Yeah, where it's like this dude's kid could totally be the be a supervillain in the future, right? Like, or, you know, if his kid gets fed like you're the rightful king for however long, like that kid would suck.
Yeah, and the funny thing is that he is. Where are you, Maegor? Maegor the Second, where are you? But that's kind of a thing with a lot of the Targaryens from this era, and I have a theory that I think the Dunk and Egg novellas will end with Summerhall and us getting it from Dunk's point of view, because we don't know what happens to Daella. We don't know what happens to Rey. I know that, isn't it implied that one of them marries into House Tarth, and that's how we get the Brienne line?
Yes. I think there is a... Well, I think there's a Dunk connection to...
Yeah, I thought there was a connection from Dunk to Brienne. I didn't know about a Targ connection to Brienne. I don't know. It's possible.
Either way, it's like...
The Targs are everywhere, so...
Yes. Because I thought it was that a Targaryen princess married into House Tarth, but we know that Dunk is an ancestor of Brienne, so people were like, did Dunk have sex with one of Egg's sisters? And you have to stare at the wall for 15 years.
My good boy.
And you're like, what are the implications of this? I don't like this.
Not my good boy. He
I
gets nervous
know.
around girls.
Oh, he is. You're gonna love the
Yeah.
next books. He gets even nervouser.
I know.
Fantastic.
We are absolutely going to have you back after we read the Sworn Sword because of a certain character that we won't discuss yet because
my
I don't want to
beloved.
ruin things for Belok. But yeah, she's the best.
She's
I think, I mean, that actually kind of provides like a nice segue in terms of like dating, romance, things around the Ashford tourney. We know Ashford to be the place where Dunk meets his sweet lady love, which is obviously sadly cut extremely short because Arion sucks so hard. But there are a lot of people who want to keep that romantic aspect of Ashford alive via a theory for one Sansa Stark and who she's destined to end up with in the future, and that is the Ashford suitors theory. I know we've talked about this on TikTok, Holly, and I brought this to Belok on this podcast.
Yep.
And I think Belok's first question was why.
Yes. Sorry.
Yeah. I think that I was like, and this does what for us exactly?
Yeah, like, why would that be a thing? And so I wanted to, again, I'll just let you guys cook for a little bit about the Ashford suitors theory, and it just, I don't know, like it just doesn't offer anything.
It offers nothing. And
so
the
if I
funniest
recall,
thing,
yeah, well, if I just recall correctly, to summarize
yes, please.
It's that right, it's that each of the people that participate in the tourney are like representative of who Sansa was engaged to, or some such bullshit.
Yeah, it's the champions in the tourney at Ashford Meadow are a Baratheon, a Harding,
a Tyrell,
and
a
Lannister, and a Targaryen.
Yeah.
And so it's essentially saying that because she was betrothed to Joffrey, married to Tyrion, subsequently betrothed to a Harding.
She was almost betrothed to a Tyrell.
Was almost betrothed, like sword of lined up with
rules, yeah.
And that means that the last suitor will be a Targaryen because Valar was a champion at the tourney at Ashford Meadow, and so she will be engaged to a Targaryen. So this is taken by a couple of different camps of who people want Sansa to end up with. And yeah, Holly, I'll let you take it from there.
So actually, I learned something because I made a video about this because I hate this theory. I've hated this theory since Game of Thrones was coming out. It like boils my blood. And I learned recently that this is actually not even a Jansa theory. It's for Sansa, for Sandor and Sansa, that the actual crux of the theory is that since like Dunk interrupts the tournament, like Sandor will.
Ew!
What?
No! What the fuck?
I think we've lost the plot. I think that we've gone to a place we need to come back from. We can't go. No, I disapprove.
Not even on Tumblr would you see something like this.
Yeah, not even on. Back in the day on Tumblr, no one would dare say this.
I don't think you saw the size of Tumblr. I was on a 1,000-yard stare.
I can see the PTSD in your eyes.
The broken man speech, but it's just someone who was on Tumblr in like 2011.
The amount of Sansa and Peter shippers I had to block.
Oh my god.
Oh my god.
Tumblr 2014.
Yeah.
The 10 offensive. Like what was more traumatizing?
So I want to hear more about like what is it that you hate so much about this immaculate theory?
So I hate it for so many reasons. Is that like when it was coming out, like, so the thing is, it just doesn't make sense because you have to twist the theory and bend it to make it work.
Yeah.
Because most of the time people use it to be like, well, obviously Johnson will happen. Obviously the foreshadowed the romance that was promised. But to do that, you have to twist everything because like first off, they don't even come out in that order. So you have to move the order of the champions around. She's never actually engaged to Willis. And if we're going by, what somebody actually is, because Jon is a Snow. But if you go by what people actually are, then you have no Baratheon because Joffrey's actually a Lannister. So, like, it doesn't make sense, and you have to, like, omit some things and not omit other things. But also, like, I think people are really convinced that George just is lying to us 24/7 and that he would plant the ending to one of his first POV characters in the short story of the Dunk and Egg novellas. Like, I feel like people, they just go so far with theories when the obvious answer is right in front of them of, like, Jon will end up with Daenerys and Sansa will probably not end up with anyone of any importance, or she'll probably just end up with no one.
I think the appropriate ending for her is to end up ruling the North by herself. I think that's because, I mean, like, her whole, like, her virginity has been passed around like a baseball card this entire story. And at least in my opinion, in short, the point of Sansa is to contrast to Catelyn, that they both were put under this toxic patriarchy, and Catelyn followed all the rules and got everything, and Sansa followed all the rules and so far has not gotten anything. And the point is, the rules are bullshit and the system is bullshit.
Yes.
And it's not like you can't, like, be the perfect woman and therefore get the things. Like, there's just, like, the happenstance of chance, and the system is bad and toxic always, even if it works out for you. And
even with Catelyn, it doesn't work out.
Right. It,
ultimately, yes.
It's like everything she was given, she was ultimately robbed.
Right. And I think Sansa ending up married at the end, I think would be really counter to that thematically. Unless she marries someone that, like, she's actively choosing and she doesn't lose power from that marriage. And I don't see that player on the board. You know?
No.
Yeah.
So, that's my opinion about Sansa.
Yeah. And I totally agree just in terms of the theory itself. Like, I think the involvement of these specific houses in this short story is ignoring the fact that this was the first of this series that George wrote. And it was, like, in between, if I'm remembering the timeline in terms of just, like, practical real world stuff, I think he wrote it between a Game of Thrones and Clash. And then, like, the subsequent novels he wrote after Clash and, like, between Clash and Storm, maybe. But that timing is, like, you're putting out the first short story after this smash novel that the main families that everyone gives a shit about are the Targaryens, the Baratheons, the Lannisters, and then, like, sort of tangentially the Tyrells, and then you include a random house like the Hardings.
Yeah.
Right? I just think it's Occam's razor, where it's like, maybe the most obvious reason for these houses being included in Dunk and Egg is because they're fucking big parts of the main story, and people would be like, oh shit, I know them.
Yeah.
Exactly. Of course they would be there.
I also think I was looking up for my Ashford Meadow Tourney Theory whatever video. I think these were being written maybe actually between Clash and Storm, which would explain the inclusion of Harding, because George is starting to have to flesh out the Vale.
Yeah.
Right.
And so he's like, well, let me put a name so that people can be like, oh, Harding, like from the Dunk and Egg novels.
When he's about to drop Harry the Heir, which, like, when you're reading A Song of Ice and Fire, is the most random pull of all time. Like, when Littlefinger is describing his cockamamie scheme to somehow unite the thrones of the Vale and the North, you've never heard of the Hardings a day in your life.
No.
And so it is completely from left field. You're like, who the fuck is this guy? In your first read or whatever. So yeah, I think an easy way to introduce, hey, this guy's going to be important to my actual story, and his family has some history here, is like, I'm just going to drop him in this in this novel, and then people start getting used to the fact that this name is in my books.
And also, I'm sorry, Johnson was not a ship. I remember the day. Literally. So on the timeline, people were like, "You ship John Aris, you're disgusting. That's incest." And I'm like, "We're all watching the incest show. My brother in Christ, we signed up together."
Yeah.
And then the minute that the scene of the Jon and Sansa hugging happened, suddenly everyone's real cool with incest. All right. And they're real cool with it being them. All right. And I watched it grow in popularity and I was like, what is happening? People being like, oh my God, it's foreshadowed. Oh my God, they don't actually see each other as siblings because Catelyn was just such a bad mom and never let Sansa think of them as siblings. I was like, where are you getting this?
It all comes back to Catelyn didn't love Jon enough, and that's why
she just loves that boy. Remember that scene in the Bad Show where she's like weaving her weird like wreath of twigs, and she's like, "Oh, if only I hadn't wished for his death, maybe things would have been better." And
they should have pushed you out the window.
We should have known. We should have known in that scene that the show was going to be bad. We should have known.
It's so weird.
What drives me crazy about the Tourney of Ashford thing, though, is like people will come on the internet and say this theory with their whole chest, and then they will and it's like such an extraordinary reach, and it means nothing. Like it doesn't get us anywhere thematically, and then they will turn around and be like, "But Rhaenyra was a bitch," and I'm like, dude, where are those analytical skills, man? Oh, her baby was born without a heart. Like, oh yeah, that definitely happened. 100%. Yeah, 100%.
The same people that deny the great empire of the Dawn's significance in the story.
Yes. And I'm just like,
he just does shit for fun, you know.
We're here fucking putting like pictures of houses up on the wall and drawing strings in between them and Sansa Stark and her potential boyfriends. But we're taking the Maester at his word that Rhaenyra was such a bitch and she could never be queen. Like, where are we? What is happening?
I just think George logs on to Reddit and deletes 100 words of Winds of Winter. He's like, that's enough.
Y'all don't deserve.
You don't deserve it.
I do think too, like the idea that, like I guess I get how a person could look at those suitors and be like, oh, that's kind of weird that like these are all people that have some loose connection to Sansa. And the idea, like you said, Holly, like the idea that we're just dropping this lore in this short story and it's specifically connected to Sansa Stark. Like, there's not a Stark in the story. Like, there's no reason to think that there's any connection whatsoever. And someone was just like, oh, that's weird, and posts about it, and suddenly it's a thing.
Yeah, that people are making videos, people are taking this, like being like, oh yes, so obviously. And it's the thing that I think that the longer we go without new content, which is like, you know, that we all signed up for this fandom, all right?
Sure.
This is what we get, okay? But I think people are like so grasping at straws just to make the next big theory. And especially when the show was coming out, I feel like that was a huge thing of like this theory. And that's how you get like these weird theories and then this weird fandom perception that George is always trying to trick us, even though he literally never has. Like there's never really been like a plot twist, because if you reread the series, like even like the Red Wedding is literally in Daenerys' House of the Undying.
It is on page.
Yeah.
It is literally, I mean, and also like John, like I get like not catching on to like R plus L equals J. Like it's not explicitly on page, but you could get that on a close reading the first time.
Yeah.
Like I didn't. I was like, whoa, this is so cool. And like it is cool. But then on a reread, I'm like, what did I think Lyanna was dying from?
Yes.
Did I think about that at all when I read it? Or I was like, a bed of blood? I don't know. Like
no.
But it's interesting because like you're saying, Holly, like people are like like searching for theories, but also ignoring like a lot of the like thematic and like literature kind of work that George does. So like particularly with like Fire and Blood, on my podcast with my friend Gretchen, House of Fire and Blood, we've been doing like a really deep analysis of Fire and Blood by like 5 pages at a time.
That's
like,
awesome.
Like we talked for like 2 or 3 hours. Like it's a lot. Phil came on. It was great. Yeah. And that book is written from a point of view. So it is not an immaculate history of what happened in Westeros. It's a very biased history. And there's so much to chew on in that story because of that. But it's not hidden that it's biased. It's very explicitly biased.
They say it.
They say it many times in many different ways. And the Maester contradicts himself, like from one page to the next. I mean, like, there's all kinds of things where it's like the point George is trying to make is, look, history is biased. You can't believe anything 100%. That's it. That's the shtick of the book. And I love it. It's great.
Yeah.
But like people like searching for theories, and I'm like, you don't need to search for theories. There's like, because like you were saying, people are searching for theories because they think George is lying to us. And it's like, he's not lying to us. He's writing in a way that should make us think more critically about what the actual words on the page and question the narration. It's not that he's like trying to trick us, it's that he's writing from biased point of views. They're all, because we all have biased point of views. That's the point. And so like, again, like you'll see these like weird theories, and I'm like, why don't we talk instead about, you know, how the Maester describes the Dance of the Dragons and how he's clearly describing that like Rhaenyra took King's Landing back bloodlessly. No one died when she took it back, but she's evil.
Yes.
You know, like we could talk, like there's so many things, or like even going back to the Conquerors, it's Aegon the Conquerors and his sisters.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Visenya was running the kingdom for most of the time. And though, like the one time they send Aegon to do something by himself, they send him to the Iron Islands. They're like, quell this thing. And he goes there and he's like, why don't you guys have democratic elections? And then his sister's like, what the fuck did you do? And he's like, I didn't want to make a decision.
She got the veil done like that. It was done.
She was also the longest lived. I mean, she just was. I mean, it's explicitly on page that Aegon was out of King's Landing by the Maester's admission at least half of the year.
Yeah.
So like he wasn't the only one running it. Anyway, this is my rant.
Well, and I think like to your point, a lot of people read the series without the understanding of two things, which is one, like you said, Holly, he's not trying to lie to us. Like, and the Red Wedding is a perfect example. One, because it's foreshadowed literally in a vision, and the chapters leading up to, like, now I will say, as a, like, when you read it the first time, you're trying to protect yourself.
Yeah.
And you're thinking like Catelyn when you're reading it, where you're like, okay, it's not good, but it's probably going to be fine because we have these like protections of tradition and all this other stuff. But the whole time you're reading it, you're completely uneasy and like, and whatever. Like, reading it back, I was like, oh, all of these phrases are just saying over and over again that they're going to murder them. Like, it's just so blatant. And I think, so that's number one, is like people one are not reading they're not reading critically or reading from a point of view of like, hey, George isn't trying to subvert our expectations, you know, the cursed saying.
Yeah.
But the other part is that they're not appreciating the fact that the whole thing that makes this story so compelling when you read it is the dramatic irony. Like, we as a reader know more than the characters because we inhabit multiple POVs and they don't, because they are like people who only can inhabit one single POV at a time. And so just the idea that, you know, I think when people read these sorts of things, they're trying to read it from this like hyper meta, like crazy bird's eye view of things or whatever, when George always writes from a perspective.
Yes.
And like, and so, yes, we know more than the characters, and that's what makes it fun.
Yeah.
because we can see things coming that the characters cannot.
Regarding ridiculous theories, by the way, for A Song of Ice and Fire, did either of you guys ever encounter the Corn Code?
What?
No. Okay, this is like
No.
deep lore. Way
I'm
back.
thrilled.
There was someone who, the Mormont's Raven sang corn.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Somebody like thought they figured out a code for like the number of times it said corn and like whether it was capitalized or not and stuff like that. And they actually like came up with a whole theory that it was like messages from Blood Raven or something, I forget. And they actually asked George about it. Like someone at some point asked George about it in like a con or whatever. And he laughed and was like, no, there is no corn code, like confirmed no corn code. But this is the thing, like people are searching for patterns, and like we are pattern recognizing creatures. So anything like that, we're like, oh my God, it means something. And unfortunately, I think a lot of times we're missing the actual meaning that is there. And like all of the symbolism. I would strongly encourage people to read Fire and Blood and look for the symbolism, because Martin works in so much. Like reread The God's Eye. It's like 2 pages. It is so layered in symbolism and metaphor about the Long Night. Like it is about the Long Night, but it is a battle between 2 dragons. It's fascinating. And we kind of, I think, miss the forest for the trees in that way, where we're like, but the bird said corn 5 times, which means that Blood Raven is telling him to stop, but we're missing like all the actual symbolism and themes and stuff that are present on page. All right, well, I think we did really excellent analysis, and if I do say so myself, I think we did great analysis.
I'd agree.
Thanks so much for having me on.
Well,
yeah, oh
that's
my
what I
God,
was gonna say. Like, and Holly, where if people want to find you and like see more of your stuff, where can they find your stuff on the internet?
Yeah, so you can follow me at Hollybean. I'm pretty sure my TikTok has 2 N's. Hollybean on TikTok is where I make most of my Game of Thrones content. I also do Game of Thrones cosplays. I will be cosplaying book accurate Daenerys for New York Comic Con, along with book accurate Jon Snow and a young Griff. It's going to be very cute. And if I can convince Quinn, he will be John Connington. It'll be amazing. If I can convince him.
Just dye your beard.
I'm like, come on, you're the guy. You can find me there. And if you like TTRPGs, you can also find me at Tiny Table. That is my podcast with me and my 3 best friends. We teach, play, and review TTRPGs you probably haven't heard of, aka not Dungeons and Dragons. So if you're feeling any D&D fatigue and you want to try something new, check out Tiny Table. We teach and review, and we'll tell you what is good and what's not good. Yeah, that's where you can find me.
That's really cool. Well, I did want to say thanks again for joining us. It was a pleasure having you. And obviously, I think anytime that you get to talk about the series in a space like this, it's obvious we've been talking for 2.5 hours now about it becomes very easy to just continue to talk about, and so it was a pleasure having you on and being able to just share in the lore and stuff here.
And we should definitely have you on in the future. Absolutely.
There is a character that you'll know her when you meet her, and I hope you think of me.
Yes, I think I know who you guys are talking about. So I look forward to it. But yeah, I mean, and again, if you want to come back for, we obviously do episodes like this in between the books, but we also do the episodes that are covering the actual text. So you're welcome to come back for that. And listeners and viewers like you out there, if you're interested in being on the podcast, say something. We would love to have more friends. We now have 2 friends. So
yes, and it was a blast.
Well, I'm glad we could live up to the hype question mark.
I don't think we have hype. Are we hyped?
I'm hyped.
We'll generate some hype. Those clips of Who Started the War of the 5 Kings are definitely going to generate something.
I'll start getting hate mail in my TikTok.
But no, if you have enjoyed these episodes, which I do think this will probably be 2 separate things that we'll do. But if you've enjoyed, subscribe, whatever the platform allows, and make sure that more people can see it because we think that it is a fun way to enjoy the series. And now that Dunk and Egg is reportedly in reshoots, we've got plenty of time to finish the books before the show comes
It's
out.
in reshoots? What? I didn't hear that.
That's it's not like 100% confirmed, but it's like pretty heavily rumored
Oh
that
my
it's
God.
in reshoots. So
They
get
probably
ready.
watched it. They probably watched it and they said there's not enough Dagger. We need to
Get
redo
ready.
some of this.
They
Get
said
more
it's
Dagger.
too book accurate.
Yeah.
Get ready for yes, get ready for the dagger to get dropped during the Trial of the Seven and picked up by Dunk.
What do you want to bet the intro for the show is still the same, music? But it's the dagger, and all it is like the words of the dagger in Valyrian coming, like being written on the dagger. That's the whole intro.
I have to go home.
Yeah.
I gotta go.
That's
my
all.
My mom's here. I got it.
My mom's here.
My mom
Not
did come
safe.
and pick me up. Yeah.
I did call her back then.
Phil, you keep mentioning TikTok. What's your TikTok for everybody?
My TikTok is still Damon Bachfire, I think. Yeah. David
Says the man who makes like several videos every day. I think it's David Bachfire.
It's something.
My display name, had my display name as Baki Balboa like for a long time to try to point people this way. It hasn't worked, but we'll see. Maybe someday it will. And then so I make videos over there. It's all kinds of random shit that I just think is funny. And also apparently I do randomly decide to be like a real person on there sometimes, which the internet does not like. So
You're like,
they're like, I like when you joke around more. When you tell
funny
me
news.
Yeah,
man.
Yeah, tell me how the Blackfire Rebellion relates to current events or whatever. So, anyways, like I do stupid shit over there, and I think it's been fun. And sometimes I actually get to talk about the series, which is more fun.
Yeah.
Belock, where can people find you?
They can find me on TikTok as Belock. Mine's nice and easy. It's BELOCK. But yeah, in like a little silly. I do like little silly videos there. Mm-hmm. So that's pretty much it. I mean, and then I'm on the podcast House of Fire and Blood with my friend Gretchen, which is our close reread of Fire and Blood. That's like the main one I'm doing right now. Which we have a few more episodes coming out soon. That's like a really, really close reread. The last 2 episodes we just posted are our God's Eye reread.
Oh yeah.
Strong. If anyone's interested, I would recommend, and it's labeled the episodes of the God's Eye. That's a really good one. Gretchen does some incredible, like deep analysis of like the metaphors and the symbolism and like everything with the God's Eye. It's like really cool. So strong recommend.
That's cool.
And I'm on the podcast. I don't do as I'm just kind of like amazed while I'm there.
Well, yeah, hopefully you guys have enjoyed, and if you made it this far, like I said, like, subscribe, and we'll be back with more soon. We'll be starting the reread or the reading, I guess, of The Sworn Sword very soon, and yes. I'm very much looking forward to that. So yeah, keep an eye out for new episodes, and until next time, hope everyone stays safe, and we'll see you later.
Bye.